now go back to Vice of Legends. His 9th question.
What is your favorite or least favorite turn-based RPG?
Turn-based RPG. I'm guessing he means the Final Fantasy sort here.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, I would say that's what he means by turn-based RPG. If that's the case, it's either Final Fantasy IX, because Final Fantasy IX, or Legend of Legaia.
In my case, from the Nintendo side of things, it would be Pokemon Black and White or Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Maybe also throw in Wild Arms 3, although keep in mind, I haven't played that many turn-based RPGs, so my experience is limited, and there are probably many great classics that I've still yet to find.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, I tell a lie, Dragon Quest 9, that is also one I like, so...
Yeah, and I actually did completely forget about Pokemon for some reason in that, because I was thinking Final Fantasy, so throw in Pokemon Black and White.
Okay, doke then. And as for the least favorite, Final Fantasy 3.
It's hard to decide for me. Actually, no, it's not. Final Fantasy 13. Or Final Fantasy 8, the game that put me to sleep.
He's not exaggerating, folks. He actually means that literally.
Yes, like, if you haven't caught up to this story by now, one day, it was early in the morning too. This should tell you how bad it was. I turned on Final Fantasy VIII because I had only recently got it. I figured, why not play it for a bit? The game bored me so much that I woke up 2 hours later.
Yeah. So, again, like I was saying, Sven literally means that. He's not being hyperbole.
No, this is the only game that ever put me to sleep. It's one of 2 pieces of media that I ever fell asleep watching. The other one was Star Wars Attack of the Clones. That is not a good piece of media to be compared to.
I really wish I fell asleep in front of that anyway.
Yeah, I fell asleep at that like 30 minutes in and woke up during the credits. I later found out that I got off easy.
Yeah, that answers that question. Question 10.
Have you ever played Resident Evil Gaiden for the Game Boy Color?
I would have an opinion if I'd ever played Resident Evil in my life.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can say exactly the same thing. I've never played a Resident Evil game at all, so...
Horror game fans, feel free to... Actually, please don't feel free to rip into us. We need more fans, not more hate mail.
Yeah.
Get us plenty of that with One Piece.
Yeah. Well, actually, to be honest, the only thing that's ever got us hate comments is my voice, so anyway...
And your Sonic review for, well, actually not for some reason. It's very obvious why your Sonic review get hate mail.
Yeah. Anyway, his 11th question.
Because there are tons of Super Mario World hacks out there, which is your favorite or least favorite?
I have never played a single one.
Same here.
In terms of entertainment value watching someone else play, nothing beats Kaizo.
Yeah, that is true. I do have to admit, the most fun I get out of watching ROM hacks is watching other people play them, mostly Proton John, because, well, he's one of the ones that makes it funny beyond just, oh my god.
Him and Azure Blade 49, from what little of Kaizo he did play, just, basically... Kaizo is automatic entertainment, especially watch the Something Awful Let's Play series of it. Especially the special stages. This was the series that gave us the legendary Special Stage 2 Let's Play that basically founded Let's Playing.
As for actually playing them, the thing is, I don't really play games for the challenge sake. I'm more story and adventure focused, so unless the ROM hack has its own original story with it, I'm not gonna go out and chase it. I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, like, I still play Crazy Taxi every now and again just for a laugh, but simply, I don't really go to games to beat difficult levels. That's part of the reason why I never finished Mirror Mode in Donkey Kong Country Returns. I'm not getting any kind of story rewards for it. I'm not interested in beating a game for bragging rights, so yeah.
That, and the games that you listed are pretty much just mindless fun games or mini-games, and going through the trouble of getting an emulator, getting a ROM, and then getting a ROM hack seems like a bit too much trouble to go to just for that, especially whenever Mario ROM hacks tend to be the litmus test of exercises in masochism.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you see one complaint about the Crusader Mario games is that they're built around people using save states all the time, which, yeah, I can kind of see that from some of the footage I've watched, so...
Yeah, because let's be honest, Proton John would have never made it through Kaizo without save states, and probably would have lost his mind on the way.
Yeah.
One might say that he actually did lose his mind anyway, and still hasn't regained it to this day, but that's another story.
And it also gave birth to the catchphrase he now really regrets.
Actually, several of them. Like, For the Love of Batman Jump, Stimpy I Need Spackle, the infamous Pokey.
Yeah, that was the one I was referring to. And the final question for this blog.
Because it's possible to make a fully fledged Super Mario 64 hack, do you think it might be possible for someone to make a fully fledged Paper Mario hack?
Well, sure, I suppose.
Yeah, it's possible, but to be honest, I'm not sure what you would do exactly. I mean, I get the reason why you would make a Super Mario World and Super Mario 64 ROM hack, you know, as to sort of kind of test yourself and make really difficult levels, but Paper Mario, I mean, you could make really difficult boss battles in the turn-based system, and maybe one or two tricky platforming sections, but to be honest, the platforming sections really weren't I mean, maybe some complicated dungeons, but they really weren't that hard in Paper Mario, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's technically possible, but what would you do? Because, from what I can tell, the focus of Super Paper Mario is not the platforming. It's the story.
Yeah.
Which you can say about almost no other Mario game. So there wouldn't really be a point of hacking it, because the platforming really isn't all that complex.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he says Paper Mario series in general, but even then when you factor in the other two games, aside from making possibly more difficult dungeons, I really don't know what you would do with it. I mean, you'd have to approach it from a different aspect, is what I'm trying to say. So.
Yeah, you can treat it like a Super Mario World ROM hack.
Okay, and before we go on to the final block, we'll take our 2-second last questions. These come from Doc Horse, also known as Doc Yoshi. Hi, mate.
Oh, hi, Doc Yoshi. I really feel like a stalker saying this, but I've known about you since 2009 from another channel completely.
Yeah, that's gonna sound weird. Anyway, also, because he's my buddy, I may as well throw in some shameless plugs. First of all, check out his comic series DK Adventures. Also, check out his Batman Flash animation, which is actually kind of amusing. Anyway.
I may very well do that, because I can always use more reading and watching material.
But anyway, on to his questions. First,
have you played Injustice Gods Among Us?
Nope.
If so, at least wait until I finish.
I thought you were finished, sorry. Let's try that again.
Oh jeez, what the hell, I'll keep that in. Basically, he adds on to it, if so, what are your thoughts? And Sven just said nope. Unfortunately, I'd have to say nope as well. I do want to give it a try, though, because I'm pretty sure it's going to PC and a happy rumblings about a Wii U release, so I'm going to get at least one of those two just to try it out. Although the reason I'm not instantly rushing out the store to buy it is because, okay, I should stress at this point that what I'm about to say has to be taken with a grain of salt. Because as much as I'd like to, I get to have the chance to play these games. Well, I played one of the games I'm about to mention, but only like some multiplayer battles with a friend. But yeah, I'm getting off topic. Point is, this is made by the same guys who made Mortal Kombat vs. DCU and Mortal Kombat 9. Well, the game itself was just called Mortal Kombat, but no one calls it Mortal Kombat because that's one of those confusing reboots that just decides that if you just call it the title of your first game, everyone will assume it's a reboot, even though it just actually makes things really confusing when you're listing them in chronological order. So, but anyway.
Wow, you just went through all that on one breath.
Yeah, sorry, Ranch. Anyway, I have watched walkthroughs just so I can get an idea of what the story is for both of those games, and I gotta say, it's hit and miss, because here's the thing. Those games can deliver like one or two good character moments, but at the same time they can also deliver some absolutely terrible writing modes. Like Mortal Kombat vs. DCU, it had some good character interactions that could be interesting, but the plot mostly revolved around this mysterious energy called Combat Rage, which you might as well call Plot Rage. It's basically a hand wave about well, the Joker can't technically fight, and none of these characters should be able to harm Superman. Oh, combat rage and completely wipes that. It gets energies and takes them from other people and puts them into others for some reason. Not to mention it's a cheap excuse of, why would these two people actually fight each other if they're good, kind-hearted people and wouldn't actually fight to each other? Combat rage. Oh, okay, fair enough.
You say plot rage, I say plot excuse.
Pretty much, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And then Mortal Kombat 9, it kind of goes with this butterfly effect thing where someone changes the path and it has like a different consequence on the story, which is similar yet different to the story of the first 3 Mortal Kombat games. That was actually an interesting plot, and I was going with it until the very final act, which, okay, this is a spoiler, but trust me, you'll thank me for this. When basically, in one of the most worst attempts to be dark and gritty and to raise the stakes I've ever seen, one of the female characters, I think her name was Sinestra, I'm not 100% sure, basically just storms in and kills 90% of the good guys. Just walks in, kills all of them. Some of them were going through interesting character development arcs, and some of them had gone through cybernetic transformations, they were now trying to deal with it, but no, who cares about that? Kill them all! Why not? Rip out one person's heart, punch a guy in the face and instantly kill him, put them all through gruesome, terrifying deaths. Why not? We're Mortal Kombat, we could have had substance, but we decided not to.
That could be the tagline of the entire series.
Well, I would say whether or not I agree with you, because I haven't seen much of the Mortal Kombat series besides that, so yeah. Point is, they have the potential to make good stories, and I do actually like how well, for what I've seen, Mortal Kombat 9's cutscenes flow to the gameplay, but on the downsides, yeah. And to be honest, whilst it does look like a cool concept for a game idea, I do have to say, superheroes turning evil. I mean, my knowledge of the DC universe comes from watching Atop the Fourth Wall and Bruce Tippman's animated universe, like the Justice League cartoon and the Batman animated series, etc. Even from those sources, I know that the whole heroes are now evil thing has been done to death. You can't really explore it from that many angles anymore.
Yeah, DC's kind of gone that route so many times I don't dare count it, and I don't even read comic books.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, I'll definitely check it out one of these days, but I'm not that excited to go out and buy it, so...
Yeah, and again, I'm just not a fan of fighting games, so I'm not going to be in on that.
Okay, that might make this next question a bit difficult.
What's your favourite fighting game?
Soul Calibur 5.
Okay, fair enough. Is that purely for the character creation mode, or...?
Yes.
I thought as much.
Because I'm just into creating character appearances. I could care less about the gameplay, but it sure does make for a very good way to break character development writing block.
In my case, that's a bit more of a tricky one, because unlike Sven, I actually do like fighting games a lot. I'd say my 3 favourite series would probably be BlazBlue, Tekken, and Street Fighter. Street Fighter, despite the fact the plot keeps going in all sorts of crazy directions and retcons and constantly repeating itself, there are a lot of cool characters in it, and let's be honest, you can't get any more iconic than Hadouken!
And Shoryuken. Which, in fact, yeah. Kyle Aber once used as a pun for Sure You Can. Which, for whatever reason, my pun-making heart fluttered.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Chugga Conroy's did as well.
Tekken, again, I like the characters and the gameplay of that. Well, I like all of the characters except for the Mishimas. Pro tip, the whole trying to be good when you have an evil legacy plot only works if your characters don't act like assholes.
Yeah. Kinda like the whole sympathy grab with anti-heroes. We'll only feel sympathy for them if they're not gigantic dicks.
Yeah, that's precisely the thing. I mean, I like Tekken's plot. I like the fact that it actually does make changes to its continuity all the time. However, I dislike the fact that it focuses so much on the Mishimas, and the whole Mishima family feud is just devolved into a contest of which one can be the biggest git in the room. So,
Yeah.
Blaze Blue, I really like both with the gameplay, the weird characters, and the fact that it has like one of the best stories of fighting games like ever had. And I've mentioned this before on a blog post, but the creator is a man after my own heart, because he basically said in a quote that the story to him was the most important part of Blaze Blue, and that the idea of the characters just having to fight each other because it's a tournament just doesn't sit right with him at all. I'm just so glad someone finally fixed that.
Yeah, as am I, because I'm into RPGs. I appreciate a good story.
Yeah, I will say that Blaze Blue's story isn't perfect, that there is a lot of bad fan service jokes and a lot of material to read up and catch up with. But, as said, it is still an enjoyable story, and it has one of my favourite fighting game villains in the form of Hazuma, and the final battle between him and Ragma in Continuum Shift still gets me pumped every time I see that cutscene before it.
Yeah, and in Blaze Blue's defense for the fan service, think of it this way. At least it's not Soul Calibur.
Good point. Anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of my main complaint about Soul Calibur, because, oh my god, how can some of those female characters fight in those things?
Yes, especially Ivy, who in Soul Calibur 4 was 90% naked, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was just like, at this point, just slap an M rating on it and drop the pretense.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the whole battle bikini thing, I actually do know someone who, in my Dark Age reenactment group, fought in one of those outfits, and even putting aside that she admits that it was a trade-off because whilst you do get the fighters who freeze up due to the fact that they just stare at it and think, what the hell am I going to do? She did get bruised a lot more easily because, well, she had nothing to protect her. But even putting aside the fact that it can technically work in the sense of battle, when your only costume is 2 bits of leather and fish wire, not only is it really hard to take seriously when you look at it, you're kind of pushing it, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing about fan service. It's alright if it makes sense. And it isn't done completely for boner fuel.
Boner fuel? That's so much.
That's the only way I can put it.
Okay, yeah, getting far away from that bloody cul-de-sac. The point is, yeah, in short, I like Blaze Blue, Tekken, and Street Fighter for separate reasons, although, ironically enough, from what I've seen, I haven't played it, so I will say my final judgment for it, but from what I've seen, Capcom Cross Tekken, it's not as good as I hoped it would be.
Really?
Let me put it this way. Apart from the fact that the whole Pandora box thing is a massive excuse for it, because what it actually does changes with every single character's ending cutscene, they have like ridiculous moments of fan service. Like, not only does one of the cutscenes reference It's Over 9,000, which even I'm getting
Really?
sick of. Yes,
Really?
but
really?
yeah, it gets worse though. They added the quote from the Street Fighter movie as one of Bison's taunts. Now, they could have taken any one of Bison's quotes from the movie, since as much as I hate it, I can see why people keep quoting it. They chose, but for me it was Tuesday. Now, that line is a really silly line of its own that's more laughable rather than that thing, but the whole point of that line is the context, the build-up behind it, because the reason Bison says it in the movie is that Chun-Li gives a whole backstory about how her father fought Bison and drove them out from her village, and then Bison had her father shot and she's out for revenge, and Bison just shrugs and goes, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Chun-Li looks really confused by this, and Bison just goes, look, for you, the day Bison came into your village was the most important day in your life, but for me, it was Tuesday. In other words, it's a punchline to a joke, but without the build-up. It's just a punchline without any context that Bison just shouts in the middle of the battle for no particular reason. It's like me yelling in the middle of the battle to get to the other side, of course.
Wow.
It doesn't...
Wow.
It doesn't...
If I were to make a fighting game character, I'd be tempted to put that in.
It doesn't make a single bit of sense, and it's just... You're only gonna get it if you've seen the movie, i.e. the actual context that line was said in, and if you didn't get it, you're wondering why the hell Bison's pointed out it's Tuesday.
Let's watch M. Bison read off the calendar.
It's either that or Bison denying the calendar, but for me, it's Tuesday. No, Bison, it's Sunday. No, just let it go. No, for me, it's Tuesday, but Bison, please.
If you disagree with my assertion that it's Tuesday when it's not, I will have you shot.
Oh god, maybe that's the reason Bison wants to take over the world, so he can make Tuesday every day.
Oh god, don't tempt me to write fan fiction. That would make
really?
sense. That would make more sense than some of the stories Street Fighter's put out so far.
Possibly. But anyway. But yeah, point is, those are my favourite fighting games, so... Before we go any further down the rabbit hole...
Yeah, I just spun the phrase boner fuel. Let's move on.
The final two questions from Vice of Legend. Question 13, one that I think Sven might actually be able to answer.
An Assassin's Creed game seems to come out every year. Do you think that's a good thing?
No, because at this point, I've played enough of the Assassin's Creed series to know this. It's suffering from Call of Duty syndrome. They're releasing the same game every year with just a few gadget changes. And frankly, I'm not even sure what they're going to do with the story now that Assassin's Creed 3 is ended, because, spoilers,
Oh.
So, what are you going to do with the story now, especially with a game released every year? It's kind of getting that overdone repetitiveness. In fact, I'm starting to, in a rare occasion, agree with Yahtzee on a game. At least the yearly releases kind of need to stop because they're not putting much effort in.
Yeah, I really wish I could add anything, but honestly, the only experience I've had of Assassin's Creed is, well, looking over someone's shoulder whilst they played the game, and even then that was only for 5 minutes, and someone once asking me to play the role of Ezio's dad in a failed audiobook of Assassin's Creed that never happened.
Yeah, I remember that. You asked me for tutoring on the Italian accent.
Yeah. All that time spent practicing, and it just went to waste, to be honest.
At least you can say this. You know how to do Italian now.
Actually, I don't. I've forgotten how to, anyway.
Well, that's all the same, because I used to be able to do one, and about a month after you asked me for help on how to do one, I forgot too. So...
Yeah. And the final question, we may have answered this before or elsewhere, but there's no harm asking it again.
When watching anime, which do you pick, dub or subbed? Everyone seems to pick sub because dub has, quote, bad voice acting, unquote. I think that is a very poor reason. I watch them dub because you're supposed to watch the show, not read it.
I tend to agree, but lately I'm starting to kind of see what some of the dub detractors mean. I don't mean the ones that criticize Funimation. Screw those people. Funimation is almost incapable of making a bad dub. But normally I choose dub. But most dubs are made by Los Angeles companies. And LA companies have a terrible tendency to reuse the same voice actor for 15 roles, and it's really obvious. But even then, the voice acting quality is good enough that I'm really not inclined to try and have to read the anime. If I want to read the anime, I'll read the manga.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, the only time I really go sub these days, it's usually when the anime is not available in English yet. I mean, I'll watch the stuff on Crunchyroll subbed, but if I really like a series and the English DVD comes out, I buy that and watch it dubbed instead. I mean, okay, there are like the occasional times where I do question a voice acting choice, like I do question the casting for Misa in the Mono Space Pirates dub just because, well, I'm not sure what they were going for with a voice that sounded monotone and just very, very, well, flat half the time. I don't know what the point was, especially since the character shows no signs of being robotic, quiet, antisocial, or anything else.
Yeah, and I see what you mean by questioning dub choices, because I question a lot of dub choices in the one anime that I just watched for the dub, Bleach. Guys, that voice for Ulquiorra sucks.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But if there's a dub available, I go with it. It's usually just a mild niggle in the back of my mind, but it's not enough to get me to watch the Japanese. The only exception, like, I'll ignore an English dub is through martial art movies, but that's only because A, martial art movies don't have nearly as good dubbing, and B, a live action dub, it's always kind of that more obvious to tell that they're not actually speaking what they're saying, if that makes any sense. Like, the mouth movement's always slightly different, and it just, I don't know, it always just throws you off that little bit more.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because the mouth movements make no sense. Because it's virtually impossible to make an English dub to actual people moving their mouths. In anime, it's easier because they're all just vague flaps.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, yeah, now I remember what I was going to say, sorry about that. I mean, the only other time I would say what its sub would be if there are a lot of language jokes, but then that depends on the translation. Like, the English dub for Way of the Dragon, the martial arts movie, the guys seem to be completely oblivious to the fact that a lot of the jokes were made out of the fact that Bruce Lee's character was only able to speak Chinese and everyone else spoke English. So there are a lot of the moments when Bruce Lee's character tries to order food from a restaurant by saying eggs, and even though it's a very simple phrase, the waitress looks back at him in utter confusion. So it kind of makes the scene look a lot more awkward than it needs to be. I mean, if you're a good translator, you can find ways to get around it. I mean, one of the things that absolutely, like, I know 4Kids that got a lot of flack when they were dubbing, and most of it was deserved, but the one that I did not get was, there was one of the things that everyone complained about was how, in this series called Mew Mew Tokyo, there was supposedly an episode where they were protecting a pianist who was from America and doesn't speak Japanese, so while she spoke English, they were trying to communicate with her and didn't know how, and they were going, oh god, they made her Mexican in the 4Kids dub, how dare they? Well, what the heck were they supposed to do? The whole point was that they can't understand another person's language. What, were they supposed to just keep it English for the sake of traditionalism? I mean... Yeah,
just... that one makes no sense. Even though 4Kids in general makes no sense, that complaint makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, 4Kids, like I said, 4Kids do deserve a lot of the flack they get, but that one was just being unreasonable, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
And that's all the questions we have this special, and we had a lot of fun and gone to some very, very strange places.
Yeah, I'm not sure what took me so far down south, but I'll think of that later.
Yeah. The point is, I hope you enjoyed our answers, and I can definitely say we had a lot of fun with these questions at the very least. I don't know when the next Q&A session will be. Our next episode of Monkey Broadcast will probably be the E3 special in June, so until then, you can always send us questions via comments, YouTube PMs, and the blog, http://thejoninmonkey.tumblr.com. Tumblr about it, for some reason, I will keep saying it till someone goes there.
Even the Tumblr without an E for some reason.
Yeah. Well, that's just natural. But anyway, but either way, that wraps up this episode. So, till the next time, I've been the Jonin Monkey.
And I've been Sven the Crusader. See you in... whatever E3 is, I never know.
That was Monkey Broadcast, a monthly review and discussion show hosted by the Jonin Monkey and Sven the Crusader. If you feel that you've been the subject of slander or that your copyright has been misused, please PM me and I'll try and get round to fixing it as soon as possible. We also welcome any comments, be it feedback or your own viewpoints on any of the things we've discussed. Until next month, have fun, kids!